Well, I get to talk about my favorite conversation of the year, and that's the MedtechVision 25. I'm pleased to have Yvonne Bokelman, the Executive Director of MedTech Women, on with me now to talk about the conference itself, but I want to make sure that we give her a chance to introduce herself because she's new to the organization. So Yvonne, give everybody a minute of who you are, and let's get into the event, but I want to make sure you get a moment.
Great, thanks. So yes, I have had my entire career in healthcare and most recently came to MedTech Women just about 4 months ago as the executive director, and following a career that had the last 2 decades in med device and in leadership and executive positions with companies like Medtronic and Zimmer Biomet, and more recently a CEO position at a musculoskeletal startup. So a lot of spine and orthopedics in my background, but definitely medical device, and really came to MedTech Women as its mission, its focus really spoke to me. It's a great extension of kind of my career, my values, and my work. So yeah, that's how it came together.
Yeah, she's underselling it, folks. I've known her for a while, and she's an extraordinary executive. And as much as Lynette, who was running the organization prior, was doing an excellent job, we're going to be able to carry that on because Yvonne is immensely talented. So thanks so much for joining the organization and this conversation.
So happy to.
So let's get the basics out of the way. Could you give me the dates and location of MedtechVision 25 so everyone knows, and then we'll catch it up at the end to make sure that we confirm it.
Sure thing. It's all day on September 9th in Menlo Park at the Rosewood Sandhill Resort. And we have a VIP reception and some activities the night before, but the conference is all day on the 9th.
It's a full day, everyone. It is from the moment you get there to the social networking hour and a half that's afterwards. I mean, it's wall-to-wall people. Nobody leaves. It's an immensely, not just welcoming, but it's an engaging, like people want to stay. Like nobody walks out. I've been to a lot of conferences in my life, and everybody walks out of every panel or every talk, but not out of this one. Now, have you been to the conversations and events before you joined the organization, or is this new for you?
The actual MedtechVision meeting will be new for me. I've been to other MedTech Women events, so I am super excited. And as we've spent time doing panel prep, putting the groups together, doing all the logistics and work that leads up to an event like this, it's just been awesome.
Well, fresh eyes are great, I think, because, and that's partly why Amy and Deb and Jess and Amanda, they keep turning it over to other people because they want fresh perspective. So you coming in, I think, is a huge plus. So let's talk a bit about that, because the theme is a bit, what's the right word I'm looking for? I would say it's complex.
Yep.
And so let's talk a bit about how futuristic it is and this focus on innovation as it relates to AI and some other more complicated pieces, because I think it needs some breaking down of what people should expect.
Yep. So the conference theme, which was really created in conjunction with our advisory board, which is comprised of several executives from our sponsoring companies, put this together to really focus on revolution, not evolution. And, you know, a day in the life of MedTech can feel like that. There is a lot going on. There's a lot that changes. There's a lot that needs to still change. Lots of pressures, be they, political, regulatory, reimbursement, product development, all of the things that go into med device. And we want to stop and take a look at some key components of that and look at it for not only like what's going to happen in the next few months or next year, but if we try to forecast out as far as we think we can, what would that look like? So as you mentioned, AI is a huge topic. Actually just met with the panel prepping a little bit this morning. We have got some awesome leaders on that have some great experience, and we'll be able to talk specifically about what they're doing, what the challenges are, where we need to try to be. Can we get unbiased data? Can we democratize the data? How do we build that and make it successful globally? So that one's very exciting. As are we have we have a patient keynote, we have an executive interview, and we have the three panels. So AI being the first panel. The second panel is dedicated to deal makers and game changers. So talking about what are the partnerships, what kind of partnerships do you want to strike, what's M&A look like? It's been an interesting few years of medical device, so we'll talk about that some more. And then lastly, kind of try to pull it together with, again, a panel with unique points of view about what's the transformation need to look like. Not only does how to technology play, workforce, changes in those components, what does that all look like as we move forward over the next several years? So super excited. And I just add built into that, in addition to great content, are tons of networking time. We know how important that is. And so each year that's been expanded so that those attending have time to interact directly with panelists. It's not like you see them on the stage and they're gone. They'll be in the room, they'll be at the networking events, there'll be time to interact with them, as well as the 250 women and men who will be on site.
Let me add a little context to that, because I've been to several.
Yay.
And it is unique in that you could sit down at any table because it's not marked. You don't have any assigned seats. It's so welcoming that way. Like, no one has a CEO table and you can't join. You could be 2 years out of school and sit down with somebody who runs a publicly traded corporation, and she's like, "Hey, my name's Stacy," and it's so out of the ordinary. There is no feeling of haves or have-nots there. And I think it's something about the way you culturally build this organization, but also the way this event is portrayed. And so those networking, they're not intimidating. Most of the ones you go to, they're uncomfortable. You're like, I don't know how to say hello to anybody. Here it's different. They genuinely want you to approach them. They genuinely want you to ask, can you introduce me to so-and-so? And they will. And they'll follow up afterwards, and you can have conversations later. Like, this is not your prototypical shake hands, give them a business card, or give them your LinkedIn profile and you move on. It's not like that. It's much more intense than that, I think. So I think you're going to have so much more of a robust experience, and you're going to have much more takeaways than that. Now, the patient keynote has a lot to live up to. The last few have been phenomenal. So could you tell me a bit about Mae McCarmo? I read her profile. She looks phenomenal, but I don't know her. So I'm curious what you thought so far as you've gotten to know her.
Yep, and we have gotten to know her. I've had several conversations with her. She is dynamic and has such a compelling story to have been diagnosed with breast cancer at age 32, and to take from that experience, I'm going to change things going forward if I make it out of this, kind of thing. And so she's now she's founder and CEO of what is Tiger Lily Foundation. And that foundation works to help educate, support young women who have breast cancer, and really work with those who are underrepresented as well. So great story. I think people are just going to, feel the emotion, and for many women, be able to relate to her experience and what she's gone through, and then what she's been able to build as a result of it. It's unbelievable.
Well, one of the best parts, in my estimation, of the organization is the whole reaching back principle. Just because some of the women there have made it to the C-suite, or they've made it on the boards, or they've had companies transacted, the first thing they think of is reaching back and how can I bring more women with me?
Yep.
And it's interesting that this is the same theme, that this woman had this happen to her, and instead of thinking about herself, she thought about how can I reach back? How can I help someone else? How can I do anything to make it somewhat more just tolerable? Because my mom went through it. My mom is a survivor, and I watched it. And I can tell you that watching it in some ways is harder than going through it, because you just agonize with them. And then the truth of it is, the treatment is just as rough as the cancer itself sometimes. The medication, the chemo, what have you, it's brutal. So I'm looking forward to hearing it. From what I read about her, she sounds like an exceptional human being. Now, the other panels, they sound to be rather complex, but what you're going to find with this group is you're not going to have to give layman terms. It's such an intelligent group that comes to this. So how many people are you expecting?
We have 250 on site that we can accommodate, and then
Uh-huh.
we have a live stream option. So we've typically had very large numbers that are also participating virtually.
Yeah, that's the best part is it's not just a Bay Area group. There's people
No,
all over the country, and I know there's some people outside the U.S. that have signed in
yes.
for this at times. So that part's great. Now, how did you how did you settle? Because picking a theme is tough.
Yep.
What made you all decide that this is the route you want to go? I like it. I'm just curious where it came from.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, and this actually predates my time of coming on board. As you might imagine, when you're coordinating these kind of events months ahead of time. So, beginning of the year, they were putting together what do we want to talk about. And what's great about this group is, and I often say just in my day to day work, is every day I'm talking to women, amazing executives. And we're talking about challenges, we're talking about accomplishments, we're talking about issues that still need to be addressed. So, in line with that feedback, in line with surveys that we've gotten, the advisory board, gave us good guidance, not only in these are the topics we're going to need to hit on. This is going to make sense for this time. We also got referrals from them for potential speakers. And so, as I mentioned, I'm really excited about each panel represents really diverse um, women who've had different kinds of experiences. So they're each bringing a different viewpoint, and the way they sort of add those perspectives and bounce off of each other. And what about this? Um, is really what makes the discussion. And so, yeah, it was a long time in the making, trying to be responsive to our membership and to those. Again, one of the things that MedTech Women does is has this content and this platform. And I have to tell you, one of the things I heard from actually a male CEO from one of our sponsors when I was coming on board, he said, "You know the thing about MedTech Women?" He said, "Your content is your superpower." And that was such a compliment and so great to hear that we're putting together topics that are important, that are critical, and that women can and men can learn more about and help them in, navigating their career journey, whatever that might want to be. So, yeah,
Well, it's interesting because my perspective on it, because I'm one of the few men that are there, is that the content isn't women driven. It's
no,
healthcare
no,
and medtech driven. But
it's
what's
medtech.
amazing about it is it's women perspective. And so you get actually here, because you know how most panels are and most boards are and most meetings are. It's populated by men, and not to knock my own gender, but it's a lot of it. And seeing something, because I've seen this 5 or 6 times now, I've been there. The panel's just different when it's just women up there. It's so much more liberating. The questions are raw. People ask everything, and it gets a little intense. It got emotional a couple of times, not in a bad way, but just people were having strong feelings about certain things, and it's incredibly safe that you can say
Yeah.
and ask anything you want. And some of these topics are critical to where medtech is headed. So I'm glad that you're going in this direction. And I know your executive interview, Netta's terrific. Hanafi was giving the interview. I don't know
Yeah,
Laura as well. Could you tell me a bit about her and what to expect on that executive interview?
yeah, so Laura is the Senior Vice President and Chief Science and Medical Officer for Medtronic. She's been with them, I think, about 7 years now. And prior to that, she was, or still is, but she practiced interventional cardiology. And she has a great story. I don't want to spoil any of the
Okay.
content, but she has a great story of what she's done. And she's now in one of those positions where you're touching so many things about regulatory development, data, all the interfaces of the patient journey, and in working to improve patient outcomes. And so she'll bring that discussion and how she got there and how she's contributing to her interview.
It's great that you have a mix. It seems like you have these huge multinational conglomerate corporations, and also you have people who have worked at startups. And
Yep.
is that something that's selective for you both, or criteria, the way that you all look at this? Or do you just try to find people that you think will be communicative and interesting and engaging? Like, how do you decide as far as their backgrounds?
So it's usually a group of us, like we need a woman who knows this.
Mhm.
And the names just start flowing. And it's like, what perspectives do we already have? What do we want to add to the table? Um, who's available? No, it's
Yep.
everything that we can kind of put together to do that. So I think I don't know that it's conscious like we want a startup or we want a big multinational, but more the expertise, the content, the authenticity of what they're going to bring in terms of sharing and perspective. And I I just have to say again, as we start doing those preparations, I think the team and everyone who's been involved, and it's our volunteer committee structure that really helps us put this together. Um, have nailed it once again.
It's an incredibly collaborative group of people. They're all full-time powerhouse executives, and most of them have families, and yet they make time for this organization. And so since you got fresh eyes on it, what do you think it is about the organization that makes these people so committed that they give up whatever free time they have to this group?
That's great you point that out because it's one of the things I think about is, the women who are both the women who are members, our sponsors, our partners, everyone is so passionate about this and really wants to have an impact. And most of them, when you kind of dig down, have a personal story or an experience or the way their career trajectory has taken them that they really want to give back and want to be part of this and see the importance of it. And it's really makes the difference in how the organization as a whole shows up. And I think we have a great reputation, and it is specifically because of the women involved. And many of them, when I talk to them or have been meeting them as part of my onboarding, they'll talk about, I've been doing this 8 years, 10 years, or I knew so and so, and and just that connection and that network is just unbelievable. And it's what we're about. It's the opportunity. And I've heard women say, like, I can talk to somebody and it's like, oh, I need you to meet so and so, or let me introduce you to so and so. You don't know. And you suddenly have this convergence of executives, physicians, investors, startup, whatever you might be looking for, all able to connect in no time flat, really. It's an awesome environment.
And it's not obligatory. They do it because they want to.
Totally. Yep.
This is not any kind of business advantage for them or personal for their career. They just do it because they want to. I mean, I
Yep.
can call anybody in this organization, and the first thing they say is, "What do you need?" And it's unique because part of you thinks, "Okay, come on, no one's this nice. No one cares
Yep.
about me that much." But that's not the case. I mean, this is an extraordinary group of people. So for those of you that have not been, I cannot stress enough how much you'll enjoy this. It'll be like no other conference or meeting or event or whatever you want to call it, because there really isn't any of those things. It's kind of a happening, a bit like
Yep.
Woodstock. And you just,
I like that.
I would highly recommend to make some time to go, because it's only one day. It's not
Yep.
like it's a full week where you're missing work. Now, what about the last panel? I was reading about that and I was giving that a lot of thought. You have Carol Roth on there, and Carol's exceptional.
Yep.
The shaping or the mission or the structure of corporations future-wise, I'm curious where you're going for there. Can you expand a bit on that? Because I'd love to get an understanding of what you're heading towards.
I'll be interested to see where we finally land. I think we had our first call, and it was great. Everyone was introducing themselves and what background and perspective they bring. And we started framing up and brainstorming the content, kind of based on the theme of the day, what might have been presented before, and where we'd land. And the idea list and the brainstorm list was filling a page of topics that could be discussed. I think you'll see some discussion building on AI, but not so much product or the data side, but more how does it impact companies, organizations, company structures, the workforce, those kind of topics. So a little build on that. You'll have discussions about what the environment might be like for doing business. We probably can't help but touch on what does the workforce look like coming out of still COVID and the remote versus on-site, and how is that impacting organizations? That's a little bit of kind of where we are, and then what's that going to keep looking like as we move forward. So it'll be a fairly broad range, but I think a good way to kind of wrap up the day to understand, the global impact, the direction of patient centricity, all of the things that are happening that we need to be, as med tech companies, in tune with.
Yeah, because I think what you want is a conversation catalyst. You want
Yep.
something that makes people go, "Huh, I hadn't thought of that. How about this?" And once you see that leaning in, sometimes it's even physical, where you just see everything. Well, last year Brooke Story did her patient keynote, and everybody was like this.
Yeah.
The whole everyone, the camera people. I don't care who you were engrossed in whatever she was talking about, and it's just because of the feel that your event puts on. And so I think that there's going to be that last one is where you're likely going to have a significant amount of input, because people want to get their arms around where this is going, because the truth of it is it's a bit nebulous right now. We're not quite sure what it's going to look like 5 years from now. And I'm in the space every day, and I'm not sure where this is all going to go. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's make sure that we cover some of the logistics on how do they register, how do they buy tickets, how do they get involved physically to be there? Could you give me some notes on that?
So if someone says they haven't seen our LinkedIn postings, I'll be very sad. But we've been posting on LinkedIn with great regularity, and that includes a link. Obviously, the very easy way to register is to go to the medtechwomen.org website, and we follow the links. There is a MedtechVision page and has links to register for the program. And again, register for in-person. Right now, we're selling at a pretty good clip, and so the spaces are filling quickly, but we certainly still have a number open. So we want folks to hurry and register if they want to be in person, to register quickly, and then we have the option to register virtually if they can't make the trip, or whatever's not in the cards for them, that they have that option to be able to listen to the content.
Yeah, I will say, from the years that I've been attached to it, it goes relatively quick. And so if you're
Yeah.
interested, if you're living in the Bay or you're going to be in the Bay, first I would say, go, because
Yeah.
it is phenomenal. But the second part of that is don't wait. It's interesting how popular this has gotten, and part of it is the people, and part of it is the venue. It's beautiful at Rosewood, and part of it is the weather's usually spectacular, and all these other things are great about it. But the content is like nothing else you've ever seen,
Yeah.
and you're going to walk out of there with this feeling of determination and intensity about doing something, because it's always a call to action. No one ever walks out of there thinking, "Oh, that was fun," and then they go grab a glass of wine and they go home. That's not what it is. It's a constant exchange of information and phone numbers, and I'm going to catch up with you next week. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from people afterwards about what they're going to do, not just what they're talking about, and most of it is because of these conversations. So you're on a heck of a train, Yvonne. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to seeing how you react to the first one, because it's fun.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think everyone will leave with phone numbers, with new connections, with new friendships, with new collaboration or deal opportunities. I think it's all of those things. So I'm beyond excited to get there and to see everyone in person, and gauge that reaction and immediately start planning for 2026. So,
Yeah.
yep, it's
It,
going to be great.
all right, everybody. Make sure you log on to their website, register for this particular event, medtechwomen.org. This has been Yvonne Bokelman, Executive Director. This is an exceptional group. Thanks so much for being on. I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much, Matt. Really appreciated being here, appreciated the discussion, and look forward to seeing you as well.
Yeah, we're in this together. I'll catch up with you
Yep.
soon.